So first I'll actually start with a Bible verse. So can you go to Matthew 28, please? Verse 1. So happy Resurrection Day, everybody. Matthew 28, verse 1. Oh, thank you. So let's read. Now after the Sabbath, at dawn, on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. Next verse. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were as white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." Next verse. So the woman hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Okay, so as you see here, Jesus was crucified and he died for us. Despite his perfect life, he chose to die for us imperfect humans. And he died for every single one of us from the beginning of time to the end of time. He died for you and me, and he died for all of us. So, I'll go to the testimony part of this. Just earlier this week, I had a friend who, I met her last year. She had a lot going through her life, and just recently, 3 weeks ago, she was taken to jail. She turned herself in though, but she went to jail for whatever reason. And her life was just a wreck, and she couldn't take anything. I saw her, she was so sad. Last year, I told her, I'm a Christian. And she said, "Really? You believe there's a God?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do believe." But hearing her life story, it seems like it's so difficult for her to realize that there is a God. But after these 3 weeks being locked up, she came back and she told me, "David, there is a God." And I'm confused. What? How is there a God when you just spent 3 weeks? And I don't know how it happened, but she met God in that jail. She met Jesus in that jail. And Jesus, who died 2,000 years ago, died for her too. And despite all of these things, Jesus being crucified for us and being resurrected, Jesus died for her, and she is now saved. And I'm just so happy. It made me so happy to see her coming back happy, and she's back together. So I'm happy to see that. Now, if we look at after Jesus was alive, he went around, he walked a little bit before the ascension. Yes, you're following? He walked around, he talked to some of his disciples, and after Jesus' crucifixion, so many people were sad. So many of his followers were just so down. So first of all, I'll go to Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene, she was the one who ran, and she was the first one to see that Jesus wasn't there. But she went there because she was so downtrodden. She was so full of grief. She wanted to see her, and that's how we are. We go through things. We're so often we're sad. We're crying. But then, if we go to Jesus, we'll see that Jesus is no longer in the tomb. The tomb is empty, and Jesus is alive. And then that we're filled with joy, and we want to tell everyone, and that's what we do. Sometimes Jesus is already here, but we don't realize it. You know, Jesus is in this room. Ooh, hi, Jesus.
Yes.
How are you doing? Remember when the disciples were huddled up in their house, and they're scared, they're in fear, they felt like their lives were in jeopardy, and they doubted. Even when Jesus came in, they doubted. "No, Jesus, I don't believe you. I need to see proof." And then Jesus walked through the room, and then they believed. So sometimes we're filled with doubt. Sometimes we betray Jesus. Sometimes people ask us, "Oh, do you know Jesus?" And we're like, "No, who's Jesus? What are you talking about? I don't know Jesus." And I've said that before, honestly, and I feel so bad for it. Just like Peter, Peter's gone through that. He denied Jesus 3 times, but he came back to Jesus and he asked for forgiveness. And now that Jesus is alive, we realize that there's more to life than just all of this sadness. There is something to live for. Now that Jesus is alive, there's nobody in the tomb. Jesus has saved us. So, one more verse. Can you go to Philippians 3:10-11? Philippians 3:10-11. Okay. So Jesus is alive. And don't you want to be alive too? So, I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of sharing in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death. Nice word. And so somehow to attain the resurrection from the dead. And because Jesus resurrected from the dead, we can also, once we die, we're not just going to die. We will be up in heaven with God and we will live forever. And that's what Easter means to me.